All right, I'd like to welcome you into the C3 pod. Thanks for joining us today. Looks like the thumbnail is missing from the program today, which is okay. In the top right corner, we've got Mr. Brendan Allen, senior editor of ComicCon.com, Giants apologist, and the man, the myth, the Bakersfield, California. Brendan, how are you today?
I'm good, man. There was a lot of driving around and stuff yesterday because just stuff was happening, and there were a lot of people out, and there was a parade that was blocking off all of the main routes. And I mean, they love a parade, and they love veterans in Bakersfield until it comes to actually doing something for the health or well-being or mental health or anything for the veterans, in which case they don't give a shit. But they do their parades, and so the parade was disrupting all of the business I had to do yesterday. Yeah, got my free cheeseburger at In-N-Out. In-N-Out does for veterans every Veterans Day. They do an entire meal, and I think that's super cool because a lot of places you go and it's like, you know, buy one get one half off or whatever, but they give you a drink and whatever burger you want and fries, and I think that's really cool. So my kid wanted a burger yesterday, so we went and got the free In-N-Out Veterans Day swag.
You know what's funny is I've never met anybody like Brendan that actually like makes a list of all the things that are available to them. Veterans Day, their birthday, a religious celebration, even if he doesn't participate in the religion. Like,
the thing is look, like, I'm not one of those guys that goes out and is like, I'm a veteran, give me a discount, whatever. But if they're offering it, I'll take it. And the thing is, like, if it's convenient for me to go somewhere and get a free donut or a free coffee or whatever it is, and they're doing it, I'll go and get it. But I don't like making weird demands or, you know. It's like, you know, my wife is a nurse. She does the Nurses Day stuff, but she doesn't walk into like Chipotle and demand free burritos on days that are not Nurse Appreciation Day or whatever. It's like, it's a weird culture, man. Like I don't subscribe to the whole thing, but you know, if they're going to give me a free Red Tavern burger at what's the name of that restaurant? Red Robin, you know, it's like, and I'm close to Red Robin. It would behoove me to go and get a free cheeseburger, right?
Absolutely, as you should.
Not a sponsor of the show.
Yum. But I had to throw it in there anyway because those are damn good burgers. They really are. Like for a mainstream chain, it's a damn good place.
Well, and In-N-Out, I think that too much is made of In-N-Out, where everybody's like, oh, In-N-Out is the end all be all. It's not. Their fries are terrible, but they have Coca-Cola products and they make a damn good burger. So my kid ate my fries and he drank the soda.
The fries are great. The problem is that from the time they leave the window to your car, they're cold.
No, very so no. Here's the thing: is frozen fries are good because they're flash fried already, and when you go to fry them, you're frying them for the second time. To have a good fresh French fry, you need to fry it twice. You fry it, you cool it, you refry it. They only fry it once, and so it ends up being this wiggly little stick of starch. It's gross. I don't.
Yeah, starch is the appropriate word. The only time I ever have them is animal style, anyway. So like, I'm not going to sit here. I don't sit here and vouch for the fries. I love their fries because they're loaded and all the other stuff. By that logic, you could put any fries underneath them and they're going to be good. Loaded fries are going to be good. But yeah, burger wise, they're outstanding. I tell people all the time, as far as In-N-Out, it's not the be all end all as far as burgers. It's a really, really good fast food burger. People, I think a lot of times it's on the people trying the burger. They have to remember that some people do overhype it on the West Coast, no doubt about it. But I think a lot of people have to measure their expectations and remember it's still ultimately a fast food burger. But it's like if it's made fresh.
One thing, if you do one thing and you do it well, people are going to come, and that's what they do. They do basically one burger, and there's like it's one patty with or without cheese, 2 patties with or without cheese, 3 patties with or without cheese, or 4 patties with or without cheese, and that's all they have.
And then they have their fun little secret menu, but all their secret menu is a variation.
I'm not even going to read that out loud, Eric. Your little note in the corner. There's only 3 heads right here, so you should just pop on and say it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go, Eric. You're a part of the show, damn it.
I'm going to say it. Shake Shack is the worst.
Oh, Shake Shack's terrible.
I've heard a lot of takes. A lot of people Steak and Shake and Shake Shack. It's kind of polarizing. They either love it or they hate it. They have one bad experience with it, and it turns them off it forever. I've heard a lot of stories like that.
For me, it's every time I've ever been to Shake Shack, it has that butane kind of taste to it. It's like, well, I could make this burger in my backyard, and it wouldn't cost me $12.
Yikes!
That's my issue.
I don't think you could make.
Wait, butane is oddly specific too, because don't they use
why I'm all
propane in restaurants?
Right.
Yeah, they got torches and they're torching them and stuff.
That's how they're back there with what's the lighter that they use for the glass pipes that uses butane? They're in the back with each burger.
Yeah.
Well, since he's in bottom right hand corner, Erik Amaya, editor in chief of ComicCon.com.
Surprising, I know.
Yes, surprising, and also production extraordinaire. So we'll give him that as well. And jet setter. That's the other title for him. He's always on the move and always on the go. And And then in the bottom left-hand corner, Mr. Brett Lawson. Now, he's already infused himself into the show today, so you guys
That's what I do.
Him. But he is the student of the game on the Go Live Vegas network. So make sure you check him out there as well. And missing from the podcast is the ever so famous Thumbnail. And Thumbnail will join us later. I'm now referring to him as the Thumbnail. It's no longer a name. Oh, and look, the Thumbnail shows up.
There he is.
You know what it is? He's John Hendry. And you say his name, and then he just shows up.
Yep.
I think it's Joe Hendry.
Except it's the opposite of John Hendry. So it's I don't believe in Paul Vato.
No, it is Joe Hendry, but the reference is still very spot on. I like it.
Oh I've been here the whole time. I don't know what you're you must be losing your mind, Steve.
Again.
Okay.
I'll tell you what though, guys, real quick, let's give credit where credit is due. The best 1% of the show just showed up. Thank you, Paul. Welcome in.
He's here. Show's made, show set.
Welcome in. Paul, you know what? I thought you did such a fantastic job last week with the 30 seconds of opportunity that you get. And when I'm here and being the top, the number 1% of the show, I by all means, let's give Paul 31 seconds of promotion.
Oh my God. I love it. Guys, I can only be here actually for about 35 seconds. So this is perfect. I just popped in to say hello and remind everyone, isn't it time to invest in Vato coin? Just go to vatocoin.com. But more importantly, visit me at paulvato.com. From there, you can find all of the things I'm involved in. You're asking for it, folks. It's so here it is. My school community, my Vato coin. You know what? Parse rum, Vato cigars, the Kama Susia. There's just so many things to list that if you just go to paulvato.com, right there, you can find it all. Sign up for my newsletter. Is somebody laughing? What's going on?
No, nobody's laughing. They all think it's fantastic. You did a great job, Paul. Thank you for being here.
I really do want, Eric, you got to set this up to where I can have a mute button on my home screen that I can use.
The Tony Reale
sentence.
Yeah,
right,
Tony Reale mute button.
Oh, where you gray him out, right? And it just fades off into nowhere. Well, guys, we have a new sponsor for the first segment of the show, and I'd like to take a minute and talk about Hobby Lava and Lava Packs. Lava Packs is a new mystery pack concept that is out. They do Bo Jackson's Battle Arena. They now do Pokemon, and they will also be doing other sports and non-sports items. They have two different packages that they offer. They offer the drip package, which you see here on the screen. And the drip package is a lower price concept item that it still gives you all the hits, but it is a lower point of entry for people. And then the second that they offer is a slabbed edition that comes with a graded card in the box. Really nice box. And they've got a $30 price point for the drip packs, $150 for the slab packs, and Lava Packs and Hobby Lava. We want to thank them for their support of the C3 pod. So check them out. Go on over, check out hobbylava.com or lavapacks.com. Take a look at their site, check them out, and pick yourself up a mystery pack and see if you can hit something big. There's been some massive, massive cards pulled out of some of those packs. They were with me this last weekend as I was in Arizona at the Arizona Card Show. Shout out to Cole McAuliffe and his team over there. Class act, guys. What a great show. 575 vendor tables, a exclusive space for the trade night, which was really fun. Our friends at Party Polls hosted the kids' trade day, which was really neat. It was a really fun experience for the kids that came out and got to have a good time. Their own, trade event that works with other kids, giving them an opportunity to trade and buy and sell with each other. And they get to play some games and have some fun giveaways, stuff like that. Great show, though. A lot of fun. They do their two big shows a year, and then they have a multitude of other shows. So December 20th, they have a show coming up. And then March 13th through the 15th, they'll be coming back at Chase Field, the home of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that is during spring training. So really cool, because you never know who they're going to have, because at this show they had Jake Lamb of the Arizona Diamondbacks was out to sign, and they had Steeler legend Hines Ward out to sign at the show as well. Plus, they had one of the Phoenix Suns players on Sunday. So it's been really cool. It's a really neat connection to that local community and everything. So I was out there for the weekend, had a good time. And again, thank you to Lava Packs for their support of the C3 pod. So check them out. And yeah, you know, it's been an interesting week in our world of like toys, comics, cards, collectibles, coins, those things, because I think we finally got an introduction for the consumer to like finally hit a reality that not everything seems as it looks. And the reason I say that is because for years, you've got these different entities that will sell products. And you know, how odd is it when you walk into a 7-Eleven and then there's like a whole rack of Hot Wheels cars that is exclusive to 7-Eleven, right? And you're like, why are there Hot Wheels at 7-Eleven? These companies really try to take advantage and jump on any type of like niche concept that jumps in and comes along. So I think we all kind of know GameStop's had a really interesting storied history, right? During COVID, there was this whole pump on their stock because there was a group of people that were trying to affect the investment values or expected fall of that stock, right? And people went in and pumped it and built it up and screwed a bunch of these hedge funds. And there's a whole storyline, and that could be a whole show by itself where we could really talk about the whole concept. If you get a chance, go take a look at it. But I think a lot of people look at GameStop and they almost look at GameStop like they were Toys R Us. They look at them like they're Kmart or they were Walmart or any of the big box type stores, right? They're a little smaller because they were dealing in the world of video games. Well, as you may or may not know, over the last 8, 10, 12 months, GameStop has pivoted their business plan to where they're moving away from as many in-store games and they're getting more into the collectibles space. Now, we knew they were doing this with toys. We knew that they had some statues. We knew that they were carrying some of those items. But they really didn't have huge footprints. They'd have like a small section, maybe, 50 Funko Pops in a store or something like that, and they would carry that stuff. But they're one of the companies that when something pops, something explodes, something gets big, they try to jump in if they can. And the world of Pokemon really, really has scaled over the last, I would say 4 years. But in particular, the last year and a half, there's this big retail chase. So now you have companies like anywhere you go, I don't care where it is, right? I mentioned 7-Eleven earlier. 7-Eleven's now carrying Pokemon cards on occasion. All of your grocery stores have Pokemon Center vending machines in them. You have different retailers that now are doing drops and advertising them, like Best Buy. Right? Like these are companies that you wouldn't normally equate the trading card space with, the pop culture toy space with, or the entertainment component that's not video wouldn't be at Best Buy. Obviously, there's the traditional Walmarts, Targets, all of this stuff. I set all this up and I'm mentioning these brands because it's so easy for us to lob a business like GameStop together with them. But what I really wanted to point out, and I think this is interesting, is, and I'll ask before I really get into it, let me ask the question, Paul, in the world of when you think of pop culture places to go, places that carry pop culture items, t-shirts, whatever it is, Hot Topic, all these different businesses, do you fit that GameStop is more towards the Walmart side, or is it more a niche side? Where do you put them in the retail footprint?
I mean, I dare I say even small business, but I know it's a huge corporation. But I wouldn't put them in the Walmart space. I wouldn't put them in the supercenter space. It's definitely a niche business.
Niche. It's niche. He says it wrong every time. It's niche.
That's okay. He's
niche.
right now.
Yeah. I mean, I consider them more of a specialty shop. I mean, the way I don't know, Foot Locker might be. You know, they're still giant corporations, but they're more geared towards a specialty item. I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, but you said Foot Locker.
Yeah, I love that you brought up.
So here's the thing. But Foot Locker also sells training pants, and they sell shirts, and they sell bags, and they sell socks, and all these things. So here's what I see. What's happening is that, as you know, Netflix died because our Blockbuster died because of Netflix, because we were able to get digital media delivered straight to our veins. Like it comes right in. But if you were able to take shoes and digitally deliver them over the internet, then Foot Locker's markets that were not so big 10 years ago are now their main source of income. So I think if you look at it, and GameStop doesn't have so many physical sales anymore, because I can go right now to Nintendo's website and buy all the games for my kids' Switch and Switch 2 that I want right this moment. So other than, you know, the fact that you can get a used game there for maybe $5 off, because it used to be a used game was like half price. Now it's barely even discounted. So their main source of income is drying up because physical media is not where it's at right now, especially with video game systems. And so they're having to find these secondary and tertiary streams of income to come in. And that's where they're getting it, is with the physical collectibles and things that you cannot buy and download from the internet in 5 seconds.
So Brett, what do you know, when you think about it from this standpoint, because look, they're carrying sports cards. Right? They're carrying a variety of different collectible type items. When a company like GameStop comes along, and, you know, Paul references the Foot Locker footprint, like, does this business, do you think that they're reaching? Do you, how do you see them carrying this type of, you know, product and concept when, look, they've been known for video games for so long?
Right. I mean, it's survive and advance, and or, you know, evolve or die. It's classic. You know, I mean, it goes into entertainment, it goes through business, it goes through everything, science and technology, so on and so forth. But I think you hit it on the head. You mentioned Toys R Us, right? That's obviously went down a much different path than GameStop is going down. I know some people want to be prophetic and think GameStop's going down that same path, but the way it appeals to that niche demographic, despite not being so niche in terms of its interest, right? It's pretty general. Toys, pretty general. Video games, pretty general, but it's also very specific. So for a long time, physical media, that was important, just like having a place where you could go get videos and CDs was very important for physical media, which is why Best Buy was freaking awesome for such a long period of time. Now Best Buy is more of just, you know, appliance type stuff that helps you out with the technology you may already own. It used to be just an absolute haven for holiday shop. It was an adult's Toys R Us, essentially. And GameStop was very much the same thing, kind of in many ways the bridge between the two, right? I mean, I remember when I was a kid, it was Radio Shack and stuff like that, you know, and different things, Fry's Electronics. All these things were so cool to go to. And now the appeal's not there. However, the product is. So if GameStop is adamant about selling the product the way they need to, they'll advance and they'll evolve. If not, obviously they'll go by the wayside. But in terms of to answer your question, I kind of think they have to, right? At this point, GameStop, I'm not saying the writing's on the wall that they're going to, you know, close out and shutter for good. But at the same time, like Brendan kind of alluded to, there's no really general interest bringing people. I remember when Modern Warfare was coming out, there was lines out the building. People were camping out. Now people forget GameStops even exist, right? So you have to do something to put your name out there. And it's still going to be a supply and demand driven industry like anything else is.
So the reason I bring this up is because I think that it's interesting. And when we brought up Toys R Us, what I wanted to point out about Toys R Us was this. Toys R Us really, in my opinion, had a massive downfall when it got so heavily into the clothing, baby clothes, Baby R Us, like that whole concept.
Watered down a bit.
What they did was they took footprint away from their stores. And when they took that footprint away, they were deviating to such a small niche market that it really would affect them. Now, here's why I wanted to bring this up. Because would it be fair to say, and Erik, tell me your thoughts on this, would it be fair to say that GameStop is a retailer, a direct retailer, like a Walmart, like a Target? That's what they are, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's funny. I'm going back to sort of are they small business? Are they major corporation? I feel like the right analogy is they're Spencers.
Okay.
And they're evolving more into the Spencers, or like Brennan mentioned in the chat, FYE, which is a very precarious place to go because,
but Spencer's still exists.
Suddenly,
but Spencer still exists because they made those choices.
No, that's what I'm saying. Spencer still exists because they for whatever reason,
where Suncoast failed,
right? Where FYE wasn't so ready for the trends to change, and now you go in there and it's nothing but Funkos. And for the handful of FYEs that still exist, it's tough.
Well, it's funny because I wanted to ask you that question because you're so dialed in the world of pop culture and everything. So you consider them a retailer. You were a majority of people. However, most people don't realize GameStop is a reseller, not a retailer. They buy, sell, and trade. They've been doing this forever. See, Walmart doesn't buy your 15-year-old video game system console and resell it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So here's what's happening is that the consumer marketplace right now is holding GameStop to retailer type guidelines, and they're operating within the resale guidelines. And in the resale guidelines, what does that tell you? It tells you that when product comes in, a lot of times I'm acquiring it and I'm putting it up in a value to a secondary market, not to the direct retail market. However, they have SKUs, they have product, they have things that they bring in that are direct retail items. My business does too. I get brand new comics in. I'm a newsstand. I put the comics out at the retail price. But the next week, if that book goes up in secondary market value, that book is reevaluated, repriced, and put out at the current market value. And we can do that because of the type of store we are. But everybody is giving this vision appearance that GameStop is a retailer, but they're not. And here's what happened, and this is why I bring this up. So GameStop went in a week and a half ago, and they announced that they were raising the prices on their Pokemon items at retail. So what they did was they looked at the secondary market, and they saw that people were coming in, buying an Elite Trainer box of Pokemon cards for $59.99 plus tax, depending on where you're at, right? And then they would take that $59.99 box, they would turn around and sell it for $75 or $80, and then it would get into the secondary market, and then secondary market would dictate what those sell for on the secondary market. Well, GameStop decided where we want in on that action, we're going to mid it out. So they raised the price of their Elite Trainer boxes to $69.99 to be closer to the resale world. They raised their bundles, which are 6 packs in a box, from $29.99 to $39.99, which is actually a bigger increase. That's a 25% increase on that product, right? Actually, it's more. It's more of a 33% increase on that product. They raised the price of their booster boxes from $149 to now $240. Right? Which they're still getting their stuff at allocation. And now what they've done is now the fan is kind of alienating them. And so what happened this week, which I thought was really interesting, is you can't walk into a GameStop and have them have Pokemon on the shelf. You walk into a GameStop when they drop Pokemon for Pokemon to be on a shelf and you're in a line, right? They're getting the line still. But on the less desirable product that would just always sell out for them and that would always do this, now it's like, well, they're a reseller. I can get that anywhere resale. So why would I buy that today from them resale? And I think this is interesting because our mindset is like yours was, Eric, where you're like, yeah, they're a retailer. You're right. It's a retail store, but it's a resale store. And they're buying graded sports cards, graded Pokemon cards, and reselling them on their website. They're doing a buy thing for PSA where they're actually buying the cards for PSA, sending them PSA. PSA is then having the mystery pack and then reselling them to GameStop in a mystery pack concept. And I just think it's a really interesting mindset that people have. And so I want to close out. I know we're getting close on the end of the first segment here, but I wanted to close out with your guys' feedback of when I talked to you and mentioned the fact that they're a reseller. So don't you think that that doesn't put them in the same discussion as the Walmarts, the Targets, as far as
it's funny that you say
it's funny that you market?
It's funny that you say Walmart, though, because a lot of people don't realize that Walmart is a reseller. A bunch of the stuff that you get on Walmart.com, if it doesn't say fulfilled by Walmart, it's somebody else who's either drop shipping it or somebody else that's selling it. And a lot of times those are secondary market. They're not even, coming from a distributor or
right.
a
the Walmart
retail
brand
space.
Is not the reseller. That's a reselling marketplace, completely different. It's an online marketplace to purchase resale from.
Right. But my point is that people see Walmart.com. They think they're getting something from Walmart. And you know that if you get something from Walmart, you can go down to Walmart and be like, hey, this isn't what I thought or whatever. And they're just going to replace it on the spot. But it's more like an eBay website, right. Talking about like having a false facade of like what you're actually doing. Walmart isn't selling 90% of the crap that's on their website. It's other sellers.
Right. And Target has one as well. Right. Yep. Obviously, we have Amazon. Paul, what's your thoughts when you're thinking about this concept? And because what's happening is the community is uprising because they're upset that they're raising the price on retail and that their responsibility is to give us a retail price.
No, that's, you know what? I hadn't even thought of the fact that GameStop is a reseller, and that's always been their history, where you would go in there and like play it against Sam or play it against sports or whatever, where, hey, I don't need this anymore. Let me sell it and get credit for it. And yeah, they're going to screw me over probably, but that was their model. I hadn't even thought about that. I was comparing them to other retailers, but now that you mentioned that, of course, I think had I thought about it deeper, I could have come to that conclusion. But Walmart, and sorry to disagree with you, Brendan, that I don't think Walmart is reselling because they're not buying anything. They're just facilitating.
No, a bunch of the sellers that are on there, and they say they've got this collectible WWE whatever, and you go and you read the description. It is a resold product. It's a secondary market product, and they're everything except for like the bottom line of the description presents it as a brand new item.
Got it. But it's but now has Walmart actually bought it and then reselling it, or are they just allowing two people?
Walmart's never going to see it. They just take a percentage. They just take a percentage of the sale, just the same way that eBay does.
Marketplace.
Yeah.
Walmart they're basically doing a marketplace that is not a retail website. It's a marketplace. Yeah. Target.com is a marketplace. Amazon is a marketplace. eBay is a marketplace.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is. And because of that, it's funny because people will go, well, if it's fulfilled by Walmart, Walmart's responsibility is retail. Well, correct, because they are a retailer. Right. But when you think of the fact that a company's business plan is built buy, sell, and trade, as GameStop is, all they are is just the biggest resale operation in the pop culture space, right? When you think of number of stores worldwide, all of the things they've done. This is why they survived when Toys R Us couldn't, right? Because Toys R Us couldn't survive because Toys R Us didn't have those resale margins. Paul, you brought it up. Right? They would buy a video game from Brendan, and we know Brendan sold them video games because heaven forbid he would do the work himself. No, they would go.
I have all of my GameCube games, all of my Nintendo games. Every one of them is out in a box in my garage.
Look at him defending himself right now. Like, hold on.
I don't resell. No. I don't go into no, because that's the thing. Is like I know what I paid for it. And I knew at the time that if I sold the original Tetris cartridge, I was never getting another one for less than $50. And
right.
so I held on to all of my
classics. So you would sell it to them, and they would pay you $22 for it. And
no, they give you like $1 for it. They rob you when you go in for trade-in.
What my point is that they've got a bigger margin into those resale items that also don't hold the demand that a retail item does, because a retail item's new, out now. It's buy in this moment. It's here in front of me, whatever it is, right? On the resale component, it's you buy it, you've had it, it's been out. Now it's a niche person. It's somebody in particular that wants it. It's Paul Vato being a kid of the 90s coming in and buying Tetris because he's got to have that. I just think it's really funny that our consumer marketplace, who thinks they're so sharp, who thinks they're so on top of things, can honestly sit there and die on the hill that GameStop can't be a resale component. And I know we've gone a little long here, and I do apologize, but I do really want to bring this fact up, which is the sports card hobby, this is where it started, right? And it's in my opinion. So Panini did a thing called Dutch auctions that were for their first off the line product. And what the first off the line product would be, like whatever Panini release was coming out, would be a box of cards. And their first off the line would include 2 cards that aren't included in the regular hobby box that are numbered to a super low number, right? Numbered to 88 or whatever it is, right? And some of them numbered to 11, whatever it is. And then they only make so many boxes of that product. They don't tell you how much of each product they make. And then what they do is they start the auctions. But if you're a retailer and you were buying that wholesale for $150, an MSRP from them was $225. Okay, just hypothetically. They would do these first off the line Dutch auctions, and every 2.5 minutes the price goes down, right? And it goes down, goes down. And then when it bottoms out, it sells out. It's got a bottom price. So they'd start them at $5,000 a box. For a box that they are telling retailers the MSRP is $275, right? Or $225 or whatever it is. The consumer then goes in and buys these boxes, but they don't know how much is in there. So they're playing a game on, am I buying it at the bottom? Am I buying it at the top? Am I paying too much? Am I not paying enough? And then all of a sudden that box would end at $1,250 and it sells out, right? Now you're like, oh, the bottom's $1,250. The consumer marketplace turned around and basically said, oh, well, that's the secondary market price of these boxes. They're now worth $1,250 when they come from the retailer or the hobby shop. Well, the hobby shops are GameStop. They're all resellers. They buy, sell, and trade. They buy cards. They buy old wax. They buy all this stuff and everything, and they do that. So what happens is these guys' mentalities in these shops are what? They're resellers. Do you think they were putting their boxes out at $275? Absolutely not. They're putting them out at $1,250. And the consumer marketplace was saying that's the market value of that item. So it created an unnatural inflation. It got a little market corrected, right? Because people realized this. But it took them 4 years before there started to be a market correction to this concept. And even there, it's still supply and demand creates that secondary market value, and the consumer will now pay it. But I think it's funny that we'll sit there and we'll allow a company like Panini, who's a manufacturer, to facilitate that type of marketplace and consumer irresponsibility, right? And then turn right back around and complain because the company and the place that's built as a resale component is doing the exact same thing, just on another level, which is the market value is being indicated here, and we're just going to follow the market value trend. And they're getting upset about that. I'm having a hard time understanding this mentality within our consumer marketplace as to how people think that that's really something that can and should be regulated. So I guess I finished with this. Do you guys believe that because of this and the community pushback with Pokemon, should Pokemon be putting in MAP pricing? Now, MAP pricing is minimum advertised price. That means that's the minimum price that you can advertise something for and sell it, which then becomes the staple. This is the required retail of this item if you're a retailer. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Is that something you think Pokemon companies should do? Is GameStop in the right? I'll start with you, Brendan, and kind of get an idea of what your thoughts are here.
Well, I mean, it's one of those funny things where the market determines the value, and what people will pay is what it ends up being. So if they're wildly inflating prices and it happens too quickly, then the demand falls off because people can't afford to be in the space. And then the only people that have the cards are the people that have a ton of money, which will destroy the market. But then if they go in and you can only sell them, you know, if you're this level of retailer or whatever, you can only sell them for this much markup or whatever. Like, I don't know how they enforce that. And then you're going to have resellers or whatever. So the thing is that I feel like the collectors markets are all very, very fragile, and people don't realize how fragile they are, where you can have, you know, a card or a ball or something from a player and something, you know, an injury happens or something like that, or people just lose interest. You know, it all blew up with COVID, which artificially inflated the market, and now it's kind of like recovering from that. But you know, we're all only, you know, a sneeze away from everything that we love like falling apart because, you know, just some weird thing happened like this. So I guess we'll see.
Well, you know, I as you say that, it made me think, and we're going to go to break. But when we come back from break, I want to come back on this topic on one more statement, and that's about the company of Funko. But we'll do that right after we return. This is the C3 Pod here on the One of Us Comics Network.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews, previews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
All right, welcome back to the C3 Pod. Of course, we're hanging out here with the guys, and we were discussing in the first segment a little bit about GameStop and the fact that they're a reseller and not a retailer. But first, I want to mention that we want to thank our sponsor for this segment, which is the Voodoo Brewery, downtown Las Vegas in the Arts District. Voodoo Brewery has different events, nightlife events, trivias, and, of course, craft cocktails, as well as a very good brew of beers that you can go check out, and the craft brews and everything. So stop by, check them out in the Arts District, open 7 days a week. Always a fun time over there at Voodoo Brewery, and thank you for their continued support of the C3 Pod. But one thing I wanted to mention coming into this portion of it was the fact that simultaneously with the GameStop discussion that occurred, one of the what had been considered one of the largest toy manufacturers in the game made a huge announcement that got brushed under most people's rugs. And that was Funko pushed out to their investors that they are on their way to bankruptcy and that they do not believe that they will survive a calendar year as a company to move forward. And we've seen since COVID, when people had so much money to pump into collectibles and things that they liked because we bought nostalgia during that time and the stuff that we enjoyed, that people realized how much product was in the marketplace. And this is the other side of this. When a company gets so greedy that they continue to take and print and print and print and print things and to make product and put it out in the marketplace, you're going to oversaturate the market. And Eric, you've been doing this for a long time, right? You have seen all of these different components. And I know that there's some debt and some stuff with Funko and that stuff. I mean, what do you see this from Funko when this press release comes across that Funko told their people this? What was the thoughts that come across your desk?
Management's looking to cash out. Okay. That's what it is. They are looking to sell the company and make the debt someone else's problem. Although it's funny you mentioned flooding the market. That's totally what gets Marvel in trouble. About every 15 years is they'll find something that's hot and then just flood the market with it, and then Marvel's in trouble again. Like that's
Deadpool.
Well, Deadpool, right? But I mean, even going back to, you know, when the graphic novel kind of started in the 80s, Marvel flooded the market with the Marvel graphic novel, and it kind of destroyed graphic novels for like about 10 years. Then it was the specialty shops. They decided to get into their own distribution. Marvel basically went bankrupt, took a bunch of specialty stores down with them, and in the end got sold to Disney. Like, yeah, I know that takes a while to get there, but that's part of it. And then now they flooded the market with movies and television, and everyone's kind of mad at them because it's superhero fatigue. Like, it's funny how that keeps happening to them. And it's sort of funny that it keeps happening to Funko too, because wasn't it about 2 years ago where they admitted in a earnings call that they were just sending freshly manufactured stuff to landfill because no one was ordering these specific pops? Like, I seem to remember a story that they were sending unopened products straight to landfills.
No, they were, and they were dumping that product. What they got into, and this is where I think that they, again, really got misguided, right? They created a secondary market, kept it as a retail footprint for themselves, kept it as a retail partner footprint, and they created all the exclusives, right? Exclusive colorways, exclusive options, exclusive, Batman with a Batarang instead of a phone or whatever it is, right? And then I felt like about 7-8 years ago, they did the shared exclusive where they would produce a Funko that would be released at one of the major shows as a show exclusive. And it would have a certain, limited to 2,000 pieces. And it would have a Funko sticker on it. And then, New York Comic Con, NYCC exclusive. And then you would turn around and Target would have the fall exclusive. And it would be the exact same pop, but it would have Target Con, or it'd have Target shared winner exclusive or whatever it was on it.
Or be holding a different color handbag or something like that, and that would be the Target exclusives versus the Walmart exclusive.
Even that, they wouldn't even change the character. They would repackage the exact same box, the exact same item.
Well, direct from Funko, from Funko's website, from Funko that says it's got a sticker on the outside that says it's a Walmart exclusive. So it's like, well, which is it? I bought it from Funko. It came in a box with all of the protectors and stuff like that, and it's got.
Do you know why that happened? Because Walmart, their deal in the pop culture space with almost every manufacturer is buybacks. If we sit on an amount of product for too long, you have to buy it back from us. If you want us to sell it, you have to buy it back, and then we will sell it back to you, and then you deal with it. We're not going to.
It's two. It's Rikishi was a Target exclusive, and that came from Funko's website.
Now, that is a Target exclusive, like intended.
Scotty Bigelow. Scotty Bigelow is supposed to be a Walmart exclusive. That came direct from Funko.
Exactly. And what they either did is they bought those back, or they did a split where they would sell part of it and then Walmart would sell part of it, and that would lower the production price and cost and the price to the end user, which in this case is Walmart or Target. But what I'm talking about is they would take the exact same item, package it exactly the same, change the sticker on the box from New York Comic Con limited to 2,000 pieces to winter shared exclusive, and then it would go to one of their retail partners.
Well, and we talked about kind of something along those same lines where like New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, the big conventions will have an exclusive, or a publisher or whatever will have an exclusive that they're taking to the Comic Con, but they'll hold back some of the stock so that they can sell it on the website later. And they're like, oh, it's a San Diego Comic Con exclusive, but they're also touting it as being sold out on the floor. So they're like dipping into the web market while also using the show as a big showcase for the physical market. And also any unsold stock from the big show is also going to go on the website, also as the exclusive. So you're going to be paying convention exclusive prices for something that's not exclusive to the show anymore.
Well, and that's what happened. I mean, it really started, I think in conjunction primarily with Funko and Mattel, right? Or not Funko, with Hasbro and Mattel, because they were the ones doing that, where they would take a chunk of that product and they would make it available to the general public to be able to buy online. Right, and take advantage of that. And they were overrunning the product is what they were doing. What it did is it killed the secondary market resale values of these exclusive items at the show. It also killed a whole bunch of attendance of people who were like, well, I'm not going to go spend all this money to go to San Diego Comic Con if I can't buy all this cool product that I'm going to get a major value out of. Because now at San Diego Comic Con, if I go and I buy all the exclusive items, if I don't sell it in the first 48, 72 hours, I'm stuck with it. Because Target's getting a group of it, but Walmart's putting some of it out. Hasbro's putting some direct on their website, whatever it is. So, but I thought it was funny that coinciding with this announcement from GameStop that they're raising prices and that people are seeing things and viewing this, and now all of a sudden we're going to see a slowdown on some product. You turn around and on the other side, here's Funko saying, yeah, we overproduced, we overspent, we lavishly thought that we had it figured out, and we really, really made a bunch of mistakes. And come by our mistake.
There's also some things that Funko can do, because one of the things, here's the thing, is like, I've always told people, like, I don't buy Funkos specifically for their collectability. I buy them because they make me smile. I get professional wrestlers that I grew up with. I get, different characters or whatever, because they make me happy. And that's the only reason why I collect things. They make me happy. And if they don't make me happy anymore, I either try to sell it or I give it to somebody who wants it or whatever it is. But, when they did the you know, what is it? The Funko Funk Yourself. What is it? It's not Funk Yourself. That sounds like F yourself. It's something like that. Pop Yourself. I don't know.
It's shocking they didn't go Funk Yourself. That's
But the thing is like that's a market where people go and they put their accessories and they use their interests and things like that. And I think that's really cool. One of the other things, their new CEO, brand new CEO, his name is Josh Simon, and he's got a lot of hope that they're not going to go off of this cliff. But one of the things that they're looking at is the markets that are coming up right now is Stranger Things, Wicked for Good is coming out this month, and the Dodgers Championship 5-pack. He's going like, we need to look at the stuff that's happening right this moment and produce enough stuff to meet the demand for collectors at this collector level. And so he's kind of refocusing, instead of making a billion of something, let's make a limited number of things for these topical things that are coming up and plan it more as a strategy of what is in the Zeitgeist right now that we can make money off of, and then cut that production off, because they've made 10,000 Friends figures. And the thing is like, I know how much I love Friends, but I don't think Friends is as big of a cultural like juggernaut as it was in the 90s.
Right.
And there's just no market. There's just no market for 17 different versions of Ross. You know, it's like,
and I think that's where they lost their way, was too many variations, too much of one thing, too much of something. And then two, they vaulted items, and the vaulted items is what created secondary market. And when you as a manufacturer have secondary market on your items, that's where people are going to continue that collection. But once it became back available and it came back out and I could buy it again, right? Think of it this way. Think of the 2025 Mustang, you know, Saline, whatever, limited to 100 comes off the line, and only 100 get produced. And the market's crazy, and they're selling for $300,000 car now, and it was 100,000 at the lot, and like whatever it is. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, we're going to produce 250 more of these cars. What happens in the marketplace? It's now no longer 350. Now it's 250. Then they go, oh, well, that was really great. It's going really well. Let's produce 1,000 now. Right? That's what Funko did. And Funko put themselves in this position. I hope that GameStop doesn't make this mistake going across the board on a bunch of stuff. I think that they're really, really treading a really interesting space, because they're not operating as a true 100% resale store. They're trying to be this hybrid. And I think that could be a downfall to them. So yes, I'm sitting here today saying, if you were one of those guys that pumped and bought the GameStop stock, now's your time to move it. I wouldn't wait. They're
Steve's not like, call me up. I will buy it for pennies on the dollar right now.
They're not
1-800-GO-STEVE.
Yeah, it's not booming. It's not going to happen, because this misstep, this shows that disconnect with their management and how they're doing their, like, seeing the consumable marketplace. Because what's happening is the consumer is getting smarter, right? My kid is telling me things that retailers are doing to increase sales through TikTok videos. The consumer marketplace is significantly smarter than they've ever been, right? They price shop more than they ever have. And so because of that, they're not getting back to the things that made them successful, which was everybody thinks they need to move on a bigger profit margin, not the tighter margin, and move more product in a short period of time. They need to get back to that concept. That's a winner in direct retail. And I hope they can figure it out. And Funko, all I can tell you guys is you guys have a huge, huge uphill battle to try to figure anything out. And the first thing you should do is whatever you're planning to produce, I'd cut everything by 60%.
Continue making the Friends figures, though, because I need to still keep
but
getting
only
those.
make 60% of the Friends figures, not the 100% that you were going to make.
No, just make one of each and send them to me directly to my house.
And most importantly, do not bet on the Masters of the Universe movie. Just don't do it.
And more Bud Bundy figures for our friend David Faustino. How about that?
Well, again, there's a really good example. Whereas, you know, when they vault a figure, like I can remember when they vaulted, you know, The Simpsons, and they vaulted Homer and Marge, Bart, Lisa, I think it was Chief Wiggum and someone else. They vaulted those figures, and they weren't making that figure anymore, the regular version of that figure. It became awesome. Like the prices went crazy and went up, right? And then all of a sudden they put another edition out where the arm was bent, or Homer was wearing black shoes instead of brown, or whatever it is. And now all of a sudden you saw the secondary market go, wait, that's the same pop. It's just a different colorway. Wait, that's the same. And it was all the people that bought all the Batmans and got the exact same Batman pose. And there were 77 Batmans that, you know, had that.
Is it Batmans or Batman?
Batmans.
It's Batman if it's only Bruce. It's Batman if it's Bruce and Dick Grayson.
Oh, there we go. There we go. See, you have been.
See, here I am being a smartass, and Eric dropped some real knowledge on it.
Consider yourself learned, sir. Well, you know what? You brought up Mattel. You brought the failure of Masters of the Universe, in your opinion, and how that's going to be. And we want to talk a little bit about the Mattel cinematic universe that they announced. So, Brendan, why don't you tell us, what did Mattel say they were going to do in a cinematic side?
You know, I am going to apologize in advance because I don't know how to pronounce Y-N-O-N. I'm going to go Ynon. Ynon Kreiz is the CEO of Mattel, and they're really stoked about the success of the Barbie movie, which, I mean, you're still seeing, you know, the kids with the merchandise and the stuff in the stores and, you know, the video releases and stuff. But he says, what you saw around the Barbie movie was, we believe, a template, a case study, an opportunity to truly understand the value and appeal that our brands have, the cultural resonance, and importantly, our ability to execute these projects both creatively and commercially. That part right there is what makes me excited, because both creatively and commercially, they have 16 products on the docket that they're going to make movies out of. Some of these are pretty obvious. Some of them are not so obvious. We're going to go down the line and talk about each one. But what I see happening with this is that Mattel is really digging into that nostalgia for people my age, because the secondary market for things like Magic 8 Ball and Uno or whatever is going to grow, but also an opportunity to do re-releases and to do new product lines, because you've got, you know, so-and-so playing Ken, so-and-so playing Barbie or whatever, and now they can produce those Barbies in addition to the Barbies that they already had. So kids are getting introduced to these things in a new and fresh way that's going to boost, you know, current product. And then the parents are sitting there going, yeah, but I had that Magic 8 Ball. I had the one in this special color, whether the tie-dye one from 1987. And so there's going to be, I think, a big surge in the secondary market for these items as well. But let's go ahead and go down the list. The first one, Steve and I talked about yesterday, is Viewmaster. And I think this is kind of a cool one because everybody remembers things about the Viewmaster. And I can see where they could take this and make it into like a time travel device or a world traveling device where like what you're looking at, it'll take you there. But also we were kind of thinking, you know, how the disc, sometimes the arm would get stuck or slide past the disc and it wouldn't turn it all the way. So like if it's a travel thing or a time travel thing or something like that, you could be phased halfway in between two different locations or two different times because it's halfway between the slide or something. So I can see where they could do something really cool with this one. We'll get into some of the ones that are more obscure, but Viewmaster movie, what do you guys think?
Minecraft movie. Like immediately that's my thought is you kind of copy out the Minecraft movie. I don't know if you can get Jack Black. Who's the next guy after Tyler Labine? You get Tyler Labine to be your guy who got stuck in the Viewmaster 20 years ago. And
oh, that's Jumanji. That's not Minecraft. I mean,
but that's also the Minecraft movie, isn't it? Oh,
yeah, but he's in it too. He's in both, so he might as well be in this one too.
Jumanji. So there you go. Okay, so for Viewmaster, it's Tyler Labine and The Rock. We just go straight up with The Rock. And
oh, dude, don't ruin these films with The Rock.
Well, let me make a statement really quick about Viewmaster. So Viewmaster was actually created as an educational tool. It was a 3D concept that would allow people to have images in a 3D ability to be able to see things. And then once I think it was created in, I think it was 1939. And then they took it to World Fair, right? And when they took it to the World Fair, companies saw it and were like, hey, I could put my catalog on these things. So there was a period of time that they became very popular, that if I owned a trade company like a tile company, or in this case, a company called the Pomona Tile Company, I would actually take the reels, have Viewmaster create my catalog on it, and then I would send a Viewmaster that was stamped with my company, Pomona Tile Company or whatever it was, with my reels, and I'd send it to my customer, and they could see the 3D renditions of the products that I offered and not the flat images if I sent out paper. So this was the first time that it really gave that opportunity to elevate your catalog, right? And then from there, it became destinations. The company looked at it and said, hey, not everybody can afford to go to Yosemite. Let's put pictures of Yosemite into a Viewmaster reel and sell them to people to be able to consume it, right? No different than how we consume our TikToks, our Instagram lives, our reels, our whatever it is, right? So I just point that out because I think that's interesting. But I know there's more titles and more properties to talk about, Brendan.
Right. The next one is Hot Wheels, and we already heard about this one. J.J. Abrams is attached, and John M. Chu from Wicked is also attached. It's going to be produced through Bad Robot. This one, I mean, there's Fast and Furious, there's Gone in 60 Seconds. There's so many movies out there that already followed this template. I don't think they're going to have any problems whatsoever selling this film to audiences of all ages.
Okay, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, right? Because you kind of have to make the calls miniature, and you kind of have to have, you know, oh, we're stuck in Tommy's room, and it's still Jack Black, oddly enough, who's the star of this thing.
Paul Vato sitting there saying, "When's my name getting called?"
Hey, I'm ready. I got my hedgehog outfit, but I don't have to only play a hedgehog. I can play in any of these roles. But if it's not me,
no, the next film, instead of Whac-A-Mole, it could be Vato, and he could be dressed as a hedgehog, because Whac-A-Mole is the next one on the list. I have no idea, other than making something ridiculous like the moles and the whatever, and you go, I don't know. I don't. This is why I'm not in film, because I can't take a property like Whac-A-Mole and make it into a 90-minute feature.
Okay, so I'll lead this one up. So this one is going to be Ben Stiller. And Ben has his house, and he's got moles that keep popping up in his yard. And so the whole movie is about him trying to take out these mole population, and the moles outsmarting him.
You know what? That's good, though. But what was it, Ant Bully? From the perspective of the ants, right? So it's from the perspective of the moles, and he's up there talking. They don't understand him or whatever. It's like the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids when they're talking and you hear the big booming voices. Right. Yeah, okay, I get it. They could do it. Yeah, all right. Shit.
Now this next one is very much up Brett Lawson's like alley.
Mm-hmm. Are you a Barney kid, Brett Lawson?
I mean, I didn't know it was Barney, but you know, I was briefly, but not for a very long time. Like it was very, very brief.
Watch his face. You want to see him go back to what, 1993? Ready?
Flashbacks. Nostalgia.
I love you. I think that's super duper.
Jesus Christ.
So the thing that's weird about this one, though, is that it's Barney, right? It's Barney. It's I love you, you love me. But they've got Daniel Kaluuya attached to this as a producer, and he's known for horror. He's known for Black Mirror, Get Out, like a bunch of stuff. So,
and that's exactly how I saw this. That's so funny.
And the quote
that I had was the torment of the person who plays Barney. How they never have their own identity. They're never their own thing. And that Barney's beloved, but in their real life, everything falls apart.
But Daniel Kaluuya like kind of hints at the horror with his quote about this movie. It says, Barney was an ubiquitous figure in most of our childhoods. Then he disappeared into the shadows, left misunderstood. We're excited to explore this compelling modern day hero and see if his message of I love you, you love me can stand the test of time. That sounds like very foreboding.
Yeah. I could see this getting very dark. I could see this being tough. And that, you know, it's funny because do you remember Death to Smoochie?
That's what I was thinking. Right? Yes.
That is kind of the same thing in a way, except Death to Smoochie is obviously, you know, he has a little more sinister side to him.
Yeah.
But I think this could almost be about, you know, because people do this all the time. If you think of typecasting, I think of, you know, the situation where you had, you know, in The Dark Knight, you had Heath Ledger like got so into his role that, you know, they say that essentially his mental health was affected by it. Right. Mm-hmm. So from that standpoint, it's interesting. Now I'm gonna speed us through the next few only because I think they kind of all lot together, and that is Monster High, American Girl, and Polly Pocket. Right. These three, I think these all are too easy to do, too easy to follow. They're bangers. All they are is the Barbie movie repackaged in the different lines.
Easy.
Sure.
Rinse,
but
wash,
the next
repeat.
one, Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Like this one immediately made me think of Real Steel, where you've got robots that are out there that are fighting each other, and they're doing it at a massive scale that would never happen with actual humans, but humans are controlling the robots. I think that there's an emotional level, because wasn't it Wolverine's robot had sentience or feelings of some kind or something like that, and so he wasn't really controlling the thing. It had some free will, so I can see an element of that going in. This one could be cool.
What was the movie, Brett? Do you remember that had the mechs that fought each other?
Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
Real Steel?
The Real Steel was the
Real Steel, Pacific Rim.
Real Steel was the one where it's a robot fight league. Pacific Rim's the one where they build the robots to fight the kaiju.
And that's basically what Rock'em Robots would be, is a robot fight league, right?
Yeah.
So exactly. Mattel, what we're doing is we love Brett Lawson to be your guys' play-by-play guy for the arena scenes. If you are looking, he's definitely on the market.
Yep. Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
The next one that we actually don't have to go through all of these, but the next one that's interesting to me is Magic 8 Ball. And Magic 8 Ball, first of all, it's one of those ones where I'm sitting there going, how in the hell does this work? And then I'm like, oh, well, it might be like an enchanted artifact or something that tells you of your doom or something. But then you look at who's attached to this one. They've got M. Night Shyamalan and Brad Fulchuk, and they're announcing that they want to make this into an entire series that's high concept, character-driven, supernatural, and blends psychological intensity with cultural intrigue. So that kind of backs up what I was thinking when I first looked at this thing. But the other thing is Night hasn't had a great film in a minute. Like, he's had some really, really bangers, and then he's had some just really terrible ones. So I kind of feel like this is one of those ones that's either going to really fly, it's really going to soar, or it's really going to suck. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, it could be one of those things of, should I cross the street? No, you should not. Stuck in a predicament. I have to cross the street. Guy goes across the street, hit by a car, right?
Right.
Like, those things I think would be interesting in this. Now, this is a Paul Vato movie for sure, because if you're going to do everything that the ball says, this would not be Paul. But Paul will go against the ball and do the opposite of what the ball says. So there's 100% Paul Vato right here, all over this ball, right?
I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm just also looking forward to the Kool-Aid movie. I don't know if any of you have watched The Studio with my dear friend Ike Barinholtz, but they go over this whole thing about making the Kool-Aid movie. So it's out there, you know, the movies that are being made.
It's funny. And, you know, again, Kool-Aid Man could be a really angry, you know, mascot. We mentioned the Master Universe movie. We'll leave that one. That obviously is what it is. The next one, Major Matt Mason. This is an interesting line because this is a line from the 70s. I don't know that this is going to work in today's time period. There's no one interested in space travel. And that's kind of what it was, is that space was interesting and military to space was interesting. And Major Matt Mason was kind of that cross component, right? Just before G.I. Joe came out. So it's interesting. It'll have that futuristic feel. It'll be all about that futuristic, but it's really no different than Tron.
Yeah.
It's just not.
And it'll fail. Like, of this list, this one's never happening. Major Matt Mason, that's never being released.
Unless, I don't think so. But I mean, like, so I mean, the thing is like Barbie is not topical now, or it wasn't topical before the film came out. Now it's topical again, unless it's one of those things where they completely reboot it and they have enough of the nostalgia for the parents or whatever that were alive, or the grandparents that were alive at that time. It's one of those things where, like, if they do it right with the right amount of reinvention, it could work, but I'm not going to bet on it.
I'm going to tell you it won't, because we saw the $6 Million Man not work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We saw that not work. And $6 Million Man was 10 times the property that Major Matt Mason was.
Yeah. And the difference here is that, you know, Barbie continues to be produced as a toy. Matt Mason hasn't been produced in, what, 40 years?
Yeah, but maybe, I mean, neither has ROM. And they're making all kinds of like ROM comics and crap now.
That is
Uno.
All right, Uno is coming up next. This is another one that it's just, I don't understand how they get a story out of this. I love playing Uno. We've got 16 different versions of Uno here. We've got the one that Uno Flip and all this stuff. Uno as a product has done really, really great at like changing up just enough to where people still remember the game. They love playing it, but changing the rules enough to where it's not like the same thing every single time. You can buy a pack of Uno cards at any Walmart. There's 7 different versions there that you're going to get for less than $5. Fantastic adaptation to the current game market. I don't understand it as a film.
Okay, Morgan Freeman gives Chris Pine a cursed Uno deck. And Chris Pine has to keep playing to solve the curse.
And narrates the whole time from the dark corner where you can't see him.
Right, exactly.
Disembodied.
I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like this would be one of those movies where a group of friends all get a mystery card and come to find out that when they get together, that what their cards play as counter situations that occur. And that they have to work together, almost like the intellectual version of Saw, where you had to work as a group to really be able to get through everything, and no one had to die. But everybody ends up dying because everyone's selfish and wants to do things themselves, right? I feel like this is going to be a very intellectual, thought-out movie. I think it's going to be one of those ones that, look, it could be a movie that all of a sudden we'd be like, that's up for Academy Awards. Right? You know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, how did that happen? We'll see. If they make it a playful movie, I don't think it works well. Paul, you've seen a lot of these type of films over the years.
Yeah.
Is your thought, if it's more like serious and kind of complicated, mentally challenged, you're trying to figure things out as you go, is that going to be a better suit for this? Or do you think that Uno could just be a fun comedy?
I think just a fun comedy. I mean, I think you're expecting too much from an audience that is now used to, 3-second clips and 5-second clips and 10-second clips to follow along a story that's going to be involved and deep. I think it just has to be a fun, fluffy comedy, which, I mean, we used to play something like that, and it's lasted a lifetime where and I can't even remember because I've lost the card, and it was, I think, a Joker. We each carried a Joker. And anytime if I showed you a Joker and you didn't have the Joker on you, you would have to drop your pants no matter what. So you can imagine me coming up to you at church and going, Joker, and you could literally just pull out the Joker card, continue your conversation, show it to me. And, hey, it's null and void. But if you don't have that Joker card, can you imagine, there's a conversation, I show you a Joker card. Now you're carrying a conversation, then you drop your pants for no reason, pull them back up. So I could see Uno reverse coming into kind of that universe where you've got to do what the card says. The most famous one, maybe the Uno reverse, but then there's a reverse to a reverse. I think it's just going to have to be a funny comedy that can get you in all these crazy situations. And it is crazy, though, that you mentioned, the price of Uno decks and Uno games, because I've been buying a lot of games so that I can play with my mom, just to occupy her mind and get her to think and things like that. So kudos to those games that you can still find affordable for a fun family night, and also on your app. So I don't know, is the Uno movie going to also take place across your phone? I don't know, but I think it just has to be a funny comedy, especially when it's narrated. Is this the one that's going to be narrated by
Morgan Freeman? Yeah.
I think Morgan Freeman should actually narrate every film ever made. But let's just two of these I just want to lump together, and that's Wishbone and Christmas Balloon. Everybody remembers Wishbone. That was a dog with, and did all these different, Wishbone was, here he's Robin Hood, and he did all these different things or whatever. Okay, so they're doing that again. And Christmas Balloon was like a Hallmark movie where family drama where Mattel donated a bunch of toys to help a young girl's dream come true after she tied her Christmas list to a balloon, and then somebody found the balloon. And okay, so it's a Hallmark movie, whatever, they redo it, cool. The two in here, Matchbox, we already talked about a little bit with Hot Wheels. It's the same concept. They could do a lot of different driving games or driving movies and stuff with that. Thomas and Friends, that's the tank engine, right? That's Mattel?
Yeah.
This is going to be animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be an animated film. This will be like Cars. They'll give personalities and characteristics to it. It will either work or it will fail miserably, and it'll either kill the Thomas and Friends line altogether, or it'll bring it back, 10x, in my opinion.
I'll bet you there's a leak with a couple of different designs of Thomas, the same way they did with Sonic, and got like the feedback or whatever, and people lost their damn minds. But it also sold tickets when they fixed it. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, they're listening to us. Let's go spend our $40 to go watch the film." Yep. But I bet they'll put out like a wildly inaccurate, like modern representation of Thomas, and people will lose their damn minds.
Yep.
So
and then they'll go back to a more classic design.
People sit here and they say, why is Mattel getting into cinematic universe? And it's because their biggest rival, even though on a numbers level they're not the same, Hasbro has been doing this for years. Hasbro's been in the movie business to create product, right? Look at all the success with the Transformer movies and the different lines that they own and the different properties that they own and the games that they own, right? You mentioned Jumanji, right? So when you think about this is kind of what they're doing is they're just finally looking across the pond and saying, oh, yeah, our competitors are doing this and it's real successful. We probably should. And I think that's where they're going with it. Paul, I know you had one more thing you wanted to mention here before we go to break.
Well, yeah, it was my love of Sonic, even though he is the competition. You know, that's actually the ultimate hedgehog that we all look up to. All of us that one day hope to play hedgehogs. It's, you know, hey, this is the guy that made it. He made it out of the neighborhood. He made it into the big screen, into video games. So, you know, I just want to express my love and
the rags to riches hedgehog.
I feel like Paul would end up playing the werehog, right? I think that's what it would be. And with the werehog thought, let's send it to break. When we come back, we'll talk about the new comics that are coming for the upcoming week, including someone we mentioned earlier. Stick around. This is C3 Pod.
Peppermint Patty's the worst. Comic-Con.com, your daily comic convention online. Insightful reviews of the comics, toys, and games you need to know. Delightful chats with luminaries from around the geek spectrum. In print, on video, and everywhere in between. The show never stops on Comic-Con.com.
Welcome back to the C3 Pod. We'd like to thank you for joining us. We'll be talking about this week's comics coming out, but first, please make sure you stop by. If you're in Las Vegas, go by the Fremont Street, Neonopolis, second floor, and visit our friends at the Nerd Bar. Nerd Bar upstairs, second floor of Neonopolis, open 7 days a week. They always have cool events. They have micro wrestling. They've got an octagon in there, bowling alleys, video games, craft cocktails, you name it, memorabilia. There's all kinds of stuff to check out. So go see Johnny and the team over there at the Nerd Bar. Check them out. Las Vegas, Fremont Street, second floor upstairs. Stop by and tell them the guys at the C3 Pod said, next drink's on us. I'm just joking. No, he'll hold us to it. We'll have a tab, and all of a sudden we'll have a tab, and I'll be like, Brett, can you go pay the tab borrow? And he'll be like, oh, yeah, we only ordered 3 drinks, and then go up there, and it's like $3,000.
DJ Scratch like, skrr?
Yeah. It'll happen. But no, seriously, good time up there, a lot of fun. Make sure you stop by, check them out. If you're in Las Vegas, Fremont Street Experience is a must-do. And while you're there, you might as well go check out the Nerd Bar, located at the second floor of the Neonopolis, second floor. Check them out. So new comics this week. Brendan, get us into it.
All right, the first one I'm stupid excited about. This is John le Carre's The Circus Losing Control. For those of you who don't know, David John Moore Cronwell uses the nom de plume John le Carre. He writes spy thrillers. He's known for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, The Tailor of Panama, The Constant Gardener. The solicit for this one's really, really long, so I'm just going to read the first paragraph. It says, every day, the intelligent agents of the circus are enmeshed in high-stakes, high-wire acts that the average citizens would never notice. They protect Britain's most sensitive secrets, and in modern Britain, secrets are everything. At the head of it all is Control, the all-powerful puppet master who decides who goes where, who does what, and sometimes, of necessity, who lives and dies. But now Control has vanished. So the circus is what le Carre calls his MI6 fictional counterpart. Control is like the M of that universe. And then there's another character, George Smiley, who's kind of like their 007. But I think this is really cool because there are movies that are made of these novels. The novels, there's a ton of them out there. When people get interested through graphic novels and comics, I love that it boosts the sales of the novels because then people are interested, and then the movies start getting made again and things like that. So I think this is really great to introduce a different kind of market to le Carre.
Seems very fitting for Paul Vato. It's like his life, the circus, losing control.
Yeah, if you just took it at face value, that's exactly right. But as Brendan said, the circus is what he calls the British intelligence headquarters, if you will. So, it's interesting for me to see that something like in the world of comic books, which are superheroes. I first think of superheroes, but even when it is somebody like Fury or any of these other comic books, there's gadgets and things like that. But I don't think and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think le Carre is exactly like that. I think it's more like deep psychological dramas and the conflict of Smiley, I guess. He's got to do what he's got to do, but then there's all this conflict as well. So how does that translate into the world of comics? I guess you guys might be better suited to answer that. but it's very yeah. I mean, this is right up my alley because anything that spies and things like that, I'm totally into it. Whether it's the D&D style games based around spies, or just the books, James Bond, of course. So I'm looking forward to this. I'd love to read this. So if you could send it to me, that'd be great.
So somebody will send it to me for free, he says.
Yeah. Plus
Eric's on it. With
I love that it goes across his face when you put that up too.
Lower third is ready. Yep.
And what's funny is that the image of the comic book cover, really illustrates Paul's life because his phone looks like that too. So pretty standard, broken, fractured screen. Ibrahim
so is that a BlackBerry?
Mustafa is on this, and I really like Mustafa's conceptual stuff that he does. So I'm interested to see what kind of work he puts into this, what his responsibilities will be. I think that's really cool. When I think of Brendan and I think of Paul, I think of what the meaning of this next book is, and that is Opposites Attract, DC and Marvel. Tell us about this one, Brendan.
All right, so this one I think we talked about briefly before, but it's DC and Marvel tag teaming again. This is Batman Deadpool, and I'm actually disappointed because I read further into the solicit. So it says it's an anthology of DC and Marvel crossover stories featuring 2 character team-ups from each universe. I wanted these to be separate issues, but if you look in the lower left-hand corner there, you see all the creator names there. That's because there's one story from each of these pairs of creators inside. So they're only giving each of these stories maybe 3 or 4 pages, 5 pages max, which is disappointing to me. But it says the Dark Knight and the Merc with the Mouth team up for an adventure so mind-bending you think you're in a dream. Brought to you by legendary creators Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. And be sure not to miss these incredible extra stories. Now, an extra story, a secondary story, is usually in the back. It's 3 or 4 pages. But listen to how many they've got. Scott Snyder, James Tynion for, and Josh Williamson team up with Hayden Sherman for Constantine Doctor Strange. Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo bring you Nightwing, Dick Grayson, and Laura Kinney, Wolverine. Mariko Tamaki and Amanda Connor smash Harley Quinn and Hulk. G. Willow Wilson and Dennis Cowan tell a Static and Miss Marvel yarn. If this thing's not 50 pages, these are just getting like 1-page and 2-page treatments. And that, to me, doesn't justify the cover price. When you've got Batman and Deadpool on the cover, I want to see a full Batman Deadpool story and maybe a secondary story that's 2 pages. This sounds like it's a whole mess of 2- and 3-page stories to make a 26-page standard comic.
So
it's like it's overbooked.
Not to create an enemy here, but it's 100% a cash grab. It's just a cash grab. That's all it is. This is take 2 of the most popular characters in each one of our universe, throw them on a cover, put some stories in there, make it interesting. If one of them is worthwhile, then maybe we'll continue to do that one and move forward. It's feel it out, right?
And I feel for like the last 25 years, anything, 30 years, anything of this nature is always a cash grab. Some go on to be iconic. Some go on to be so, like forgettable that it's not even funny. That where you actually forget that it took place. But it's anytime we see this, it's just a matter of if we're willing to partake in the cash grab. But it's 100%
like
exactly that.
Dark Claw from Amalgam Comics was readable. It was a good comic. They made 8 or 10 Amalgam Comics. I forget how many, but like maybe 2 of them were good. And then you look at the new 52 and it's like one story out of 50 that they were doing was fantastic. And that's the one we remember. So it's like, dude, do your experimenting or whatever. And if it doesn't sell, the first issue doesn't sell, then cancel the second issue, but go with what works. This right here to me is 100% a cash grab because you're going nowhere with any of these stories. All you're going to get is
Harley Quinn Hulk.
That for a minute. That's what
Harley Quinn Hulk.
And the thing, because you mentioned Doctor Strange and John Constantine, right? Laura Kinney and Nightwing.
Constantine. But it's Doctor Strange on that one.
Yeah. Either way, Laura Kinney and Nightwing, Dick Grayson. Right, like those are so cool, yet they're buried by the marketing, essentially, by the marquee here. Yet at the same time, in the story itself, the marquee is going to be watered down by the other characters. So you're promoting it as something that's really going to isolate Bruce Wayne and Wade Wilson. But when you get into the nuts and bolts of the story, you're going into all these other avenues that then, again, it's essentially diminish the title. But the title buries what you really want to do because Brendan just gave it to us in the solicit. If you don't have that and you're kind of just looking at the cover, you may be misled.
Right.
Completely agree with you. Now, there's a variant cover to this. It's a retailer exclusive. I actually really like this. And my opinion on this is that the Killing Joke is going to jump in value. So this is an investment point right now. You need to grab your Killing Jokes. If you bought them to resell them, you're about to find a time to be able to resell it, because everybody's going to be like, what's the comic Deadpool's ripping? Wait, that's cool. Let's get that. I want a copy. And it's going to push market price up on that.
Right, in very Deadpool fashion, it's breaking the fourth wall in an homage cover, and this is new. I've talked about open order covers, I've talked about incentive covers, and this is one that I don't think we've talked about before, and it's a retailer exclusive. Sad Lemon Comics and KRS Comics commissioned Brian Boland to do this cover, and the way that this works is they've got the open order covers, and those are the ones that you can, the A cover, the B cover, the C cover, and then they've got the incentive covers. Your retailer has to order 25 or more to get an opportunity to order one of the incentive covers. This one, if as a comic book store or a retailer, if you commission an artist to make a cover, you can then get DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, Image, or whoever to print a certain number of the books with your cover on it. It's going to cost you quite a bit more, so you can charge quite a bit more. This one's probably going to go for 5 times, 6 times what an open order cover goes for, but you can only get this cover right here from Sad Lemon Comics.
So I wonder, is there going to be a trade dress of this cover? It'll probably be, I would guess.
This is the Virgin. There is a trade dress version. This is
printing. They'll take this art and they'll use it with a trade dress.
Yeah. This is the Virgin variant. They do have a trade dressed one, but so the Virgin is going to be, fewer printings, so it's going to be worth more money. And that's the other thing, is because you're commissioning the artwork and commissioning the comic book to be made with your artwork on it that you commissioned from an artist. You get to determine there are 25 of these, 100 of these, 200 of these. So you determine the scarcity of the comic book that people can only get from you. And you already said this one, because it's got the Killing Joke on there, is going to be a hot comic.
Yeah, I think it will be. Now, it's funny. We talk about, because there's been so much success with Deadpool, so much success with Batman. These two characters in particular, both vigilantes, right? They both, from their side of their space, have done an incredible job. But we see them veer off in titles like this Batman versus Deadpool team up, right? What about this guy? The next one, Spawn, The Dark Ages, #1.
So this one I pulled because it's interesting. The writer artist on this is Liam Sharp. We know him for Conan, Green Lantern. He did Wonder Woman, Batman, Man-Thing, Batman Reptilian. He does really dark takes on a bunch of stuff, but he also worked on the original Spawn Dark Ages, which was in 1999. So this is the original artist and writer who worked on the original series, and they're kind of rebooting it. It says, Saxon barbarians harry Britain from the east. In the north, the Pictish threat looms. From the west, Hibernians send raiders from the land that shall one day be called Ireland. Aurelianus, newly anointed king, must defend Britain against all of these threats while also dealing with the growing rebellion amongst his own people. For there are stories of another more worthy king, one anointed by the old Celtic gods, whom Christians refer to as the devil spawn.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things where if you're Spawn, this is right up your alley, because it's alluding to all the things that is the thematic content that made Spawn great to begin with. You have the aesthetic that made Spawn great to begin with. Obviously, like Brendan said, it's alluding to the original Dark Ages storyline itself. I think everything about this is kind of right up any Spawn fan's alley, ultimately. And, the whole Celtic, Anglo-Saxon element of history, that's cool. The barbarian element, the fact that obviously, those aspects of pop culture, kind of the mythological subtext of it all, that could be played out very well in comics if done right. So you kind of get the mythological, historical element. You get that in Thor comics and stuff like that. You get that in certain elements of DC with their whole lineage and mythologies respectively. So Spawn is no different. It's a matter of how it taps into it. And I think this is going to be awesome.
Also, why does Liam Sharp waste his time doing superheroes? Like Barbarian Liam Sharp is the best Liam Sharp.
That's exactly, especially when you go into that subject matter and in comics, that almost is kind of more in its prime now than superheroes are. Superheroes are kind of just a continuum because they're always going to be a thing. But stuff like the Barbarian, it's kind of like what Eric, you were talking about earlier, how graphic novels kind of got killed off for years. And then they kind of had a resurgence. And a lot of the resurgence are in those historical, mythological elements. I mean, Zack Snyder's 300, it seems kind of dated now and it seems kind of cliche, but that was a big, big deal at one point. And even though it was kind of really taking a lot of liberties with history, it still at its core was something historical, which people kind of had a renewed interest in.
Spawn has such these different, universes and different levels.
No doubt.
And each one of them has its own storyline where it's not like when you think of Batman, where Batman always is Batman. Like Spawn is a completely different character in each one of these different iterations, which I think is what's great. I think it's what keeps the component. The Gunslinger Spawn is an example of this, where, you know, it's not the same Spawn. It has some, you know, nods and you know, stuff back to it, but not necessarily. Now, this next one, Capes #1. Brendan, tell me, this is a reprint, right?
Well, it's odd, and here's the deal. So this is a Robert Kirkman and Mark Englert joint, and this came out a while ago. It's at least 10 years old, if I recall correctly. But the thing is not only did they remaster the artwork and stuff in it, but they also changed the dialogue. So they're taking the original story and changing the dialogue and changing the artwork, which makes it not the original story, in my opinion. But it's also one of those things where it's like, if you already own this, because they tweaked enough things in it, it's one of those things where they're trying to get you to buy it again. And it's an odd strategy, and I'm interested to see if it works out for them. But it says a special remastering of Capes featuring new art and new dialogue. Bolt, Kid Thor, Knockout, Captain Cosmic, Clairvoyant, Big Brain, Commander Capitalism. Welcome to Capes Inc. Employers are your favorite superheroes that protect. Well, at least when they're on the clock. New York City from threats like Machine Head, Titan, and now we're in the crosshairs of an enemy they never expected. I don't get it, but that doesn't mean it's not good. I've never seen this presentation where they go in, they're like, yeah, so it's the same, but we changed everything. Go spend your $6 on it.
So this is part of the Invincible universe, and I think what they're doing is they want to bring the art style and the story style to fit the current Invincible universe, because I think this was going a different direction, but their character set in here, this is 100% establishment of these characters so they can be pulled into the Invincible timeline. That's all it is.
And I'll just make a wild guess here. Kirkman's angling for a Capes animated show on Amazon.
Right.
Very good choice.
Yeah.
Right. And
it would work. Like, if you have another branch and it does feel Invincible-ish, but it's its own thing, and then eventually those characters cross into it, makes 100% set, 100% sense. And I think that this will work well. I do want to see what they do with it. I want to see, you know, the art style. You can obviously see right there on the cover, that is Invincible 101 character, you know, artwork. So it'll work because Invincible is so big, and you've got that new Invincible season coming down the line here that everyone is getting kind of amped about and excited about. So you do these things to build your, you know, excitement behind it. And there's been a little bit of a cool off on Battle Beast. And so, you know, you got to like keep the line interesting and out in front of people. So I think this will do it. Everyone's favorite on the show, The Rock, is mentioned in this next one, right, Brendan?
Yeah. So Final Boss #1. This is by writer-artist Tyler Kirkham. We know Tyler. He's done a couple shows with us and stuff. Okay, let me read the solicit first, and then I'll say it. So a thrilling new action hero, Tommy Brazen, in The Final Boss. Get ready for an over-the-top adventure that's high-octane nod to the classic action stories. Trying to forge a new path, Tommy uses his newfound powers for various paid enforcer gigs and street fights, only to uncover a past far more complex than he ever imagined. Tyler Kirkham, buddy, this is the most like Image Comics title to come out of Image since 1991. Like, everything about this is just screaming like old Image. This is Cable. This is like, I just look at the artwork. This is very highly influenced by Rob Liefeld. And it says, you know, a nod to classic action stories, but something new, a new path. This is not a new path. We've seen this in the 80s. We've seen it in the 90s.
It's a rehashing.
Dude, seriously, like, he's a nice enough guy. We like Tyler, but I don't get this. And
what was the comic book that he did that was his, that was a Whatnot exclusive?
I don't know. Now you're gonna make me look shit up. Do you recall
what that was? Because I can tell you right now, this character look is right along that, and probably why this is coming out is that he went to do his own independent kind of like push on that title. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but he went to go do that individual push, and I'll almost bet you that they looked at it and they're like, yeah, we're not going to pick that up and make that a thing, but let's go ahead and let you run with what you wanted to do, but let's turn it into another
So like just reskinned a failed concept.
I do like the name Final Boss. I do think that's cool. Because it does give you a little feel where this guy's kind of like a badass, but at the same time, you know, he probably has trials, he has tribulations, he's got challenges. You're right, though. It's no different than the 90s, you know, next up hero arc. The only thing I can hope is don't get so crazy with these like god-awful random characters that are like not human, that aren't monsters or bad guys. Like, let the monsters and bad guys be monsters and bad guys. Don't dress the monster and bad guy as a good guy in this, because that's where Image like really made mistakes, like with Wildcats and stuff like that, right? Is they like took guys that were bad guys and made them good guys, and then, you know, they were trying to like mix the story and history and all this stuff and everything. And I don't know. This next book.
It's funny you mentioned Wildcats because this character looks like Grifter.
No, 100%. And that's the first thing that came to mind was Grifter, right?
Well, it's like, is that blood around his eye? Did the blood, when he's beating the pulp out of somebody with his taped knuckles, just happen to make that shape? Like,
I don't know.
Did he headbutt the dude and
the
just
thoughts we ponder?
That when all things are final, you must respawn again, and that's this next book, right?
This next book. What's next? Lion King? Here we go. The Lion King #1.
More of the story, baby. Let's go.
So this is a Dynamite license of The Lion King, and this is the Lion King that everybody loves. This is the one between 1 and 1.5. The Once and Future Kings get ready to return to the sweeping plains of Africa for a brand new series of adventures starring Mufasa and Simba, following the ruler of the Pride Lands and his young heir as they navigate the complex relationships that make up their kingdom and learn firsthand how to defend it against the forces that threaten it both from the outside and from within. Actually, no. So this is still in #1 because he's dead by the end of #1. So
yeah, this is basically in the 5 minutes. Like,
this is the montage.
Yeah,
this is what's happening in the background of the montage that they cut together as he's. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's obviously they're going back to that nostalgic 90s stuff. Dynamite picked up a good license with this one. I think that Paul Vato, as an 80s kid, has a lot of memories of The Lion King growing up, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but even young, you know, being younger than that, you know, for me, it's a great entry point for us fellow, you know, young viewers. It's a great entry point, but for old guys like you guys, I mean, it's really emotional deja vu. You can relate to it. You remember seeing it back in '94 or whenever it came out in the theater. But seriously, yeah, this is all about deja vu and just nostalgia. Really, I think is actually the right word.
Well,
just
and they're 100% leaning into the artwork of the film or whatever. That looks like it could be a production cell from the animation.
100%. And I love that because it's almost a sneak peek into movie making, like storyboards. I'm a big fan of storyboards, and I'm guessing that's what's on the inside of this. Is that everything looks very filmatic, you know, if you will. And so yeah, I mean, if somebody could send me one, please send
it, baby. Let's go.
That should be a hashtag send Paul comments.
Send Paul comments.
It is pretty
SPC.
I do like it. Look, Disney is kind of doing their thing. I really am not a huge fan of Disney getting into all this new art. I really wish they would maintain the origin and keep that going, because that is where Disney's fall off is right now currently, is that you no longer have the interest in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You no longer have the interest in some of these older properties. You don't see some of these, you know, Five-O Gone West and stuff like that, like getting rebirth and interest. Because they've done enough to keep that origin arc in front of us, right? Every time they put something out that's like a nod back to the original art of a release of a big monster like Lion King or Cinderella or whatever, it always does really well. And I don't understand why they keep trying to push that they're not the kiddie cartoon place anymore. No, we want you to be the fun kiddie cartoon look. That's what sold us. That's what we fell in love with. And that's what they're missing when they're going to their original properties. This is a turnoff to me. Simba looks a lot like the origin, but look, you're looking at a little tiny lion. He's going to be a baby lion, you know? But just the fact that the art is just not the same. You're not the mom that grew up with the kids in the 90s looking at this going, oh my gosh, I got to get this new Lion King. It reminds me of, they look at it and they go, that's not my Lion King.
I don't know. I think people were thinking that much more when they saw the movie. I think when people see this, they're going to think much more along the lines of the Lion King they saw. I mean, you see the red mane on the lion.
Is the best one. Everything that came after that was kind of shit. The first one was kind of fun, and I think that this evokes that time where it was still kind of fun before it got dark. So you're probably going to see some hyena action and stuff like that. But like this is before the murder.
Ultimately, the fun, no, 100%. But ultimately, the fun of Disney movies is the way they look. They look and they tell a story in a way no other medium can, and not just any other medium, any other really team of artists, right? There's been a lot of great animators in different departments over the years in the industry, but Disney always stood out. What was it like the 12 Crazy Men or the 9 Crazy Men or 9 Old Men? 9 Old Men. There you go. They were incredible. And like that's going back years, well beyond the Disney Renaissance. So then when you kind of had
you're thinking of the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Michael Eisner years, kind of with the Renaissance. This is when the Lion King kind of took off with the Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, all that, and you got this whole new generation got their kind of slate of titles. And either way, it evokes a certain time and place that only animation and Disney style animation could tell. I do agree with Steve. The further they get away from that, even though it sells because they sell on nostalgia, the reception and the overall reputation starts to get diminished because people go to these live action versions and they expect the same thing. And the magic just isn't there, and it's never going to be there because it's not the same type of animation.
No, see, you said live action. There's nothing live action about the live action Lion King.
No, but I get what he's saying. He's saying that when they go to the live action, they're going on such a different arch that and I totally get it, and I see that. It's funny. The next book has got to be
even the ones outside the Lion King, though, the live action Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella. It's the same principle.
It's also true of the computer generated movies that Disney's done as Disney, not as Pixar, right?
100%.
Those movies don't have the same kind of life to them that the 2D ones have. Like, you compare Lilo and Stitch to, I don't know, the last one that came out, Wish, right? And Wish just like. Right. They fed a bunch of stuff into the machine and just let the machine produce it.
And it's funny because those ones,
Lilo and Stitch, which is a late 2D movie, like
100%
feels human, you know.
And you know what? It's funny about that, Eric, is like they kind of find this formula where they're in the middle, where they use the like the formula of the songs, right? The songs of the old Alan Menken type songs, and even before that, in like the old Walt Disney years. They use the songs of those with almost as Pixar style 3D animation. And they kind of take both components, but it doesn't have the writing that Pixar does. And it doesn't have the animation, the color that the old Disney movies had.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this next one has got to be in legacy, like 8,412. And that's G.I. Joe number 14.
Number 14. So the solicitation mentions the introduction of a fan favorite character. And we're assuming that this is one that has not yet appeared in the Energon universe. So we're going to make some guesses about who this is. But it says Dreadnought War continues. Duke and Cobra Commander are on the run. The only way to survive the Dreadnoughts is trusting each other. And that's the last thing either of them plans to do. The first appearance of a fan favorite character, the most action-packed G.I. Joe epic yet, comes with 2 issues each month. So every 2 weeks they're hitting you for this one. And they are teasing the introduction of a character that we know, but have not yet seen in the modern version of G.I. Joe.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
I haven't been reading, so I don't know
who
get introduced, but
Serpentor. See, and this is what I was going to ask all of you guys. Does the fact that with the solicit that Brennan just read, and the fact that G.I. Joe kind of was, bobs and weaves through the zeitgeist, if you will, does this get you excited? Because just for a second, all y'all even myself, we all kind of took a collective pause to think about who it could be. Does that kind of show that no matter what, G.I. Joe still kind of holds relevance?
It's weird because, during the lockdown, I got super into the G.I. Joe Classified series.
Really?
And realized, wait, I care about these characters a lot more than I thought I did. Like, I haven't talked about Snake Eyes or Roadblock in like 25 years. And then with those figures, like, wait, I care about these. Why do I care about these characters? It was super confusing. Has it gotten me to read this comic? No. But, it's weird how much nostalgia and warmth you actually do have for a G.I. Joe. Like, my Super 7 Cobra Commander.
And I think it goes back to the Transformers element, the fact that it has been adapted through enough mediums that where you don't automatically have to think of the toys, even though the toys are the main crux of it. You still like the toys are really what bleeds you back to like the childhood element. But you think back like comics, you think back at cartoons, you think back at the movie attempt. You could at least think back at different points in your life where that may have been a little more interesting than the toys.
You know who this could be?
Who?
Alexander McCullen.
It very much could
As
be.
I see that in the chat.
Oh, you know what? It's Chuckles. That's who it is. It's
Chuckles. I was thinking Chuckles for a minute, but then I was like, no, it's not going to be Chuckles because he's a little more Vice, right? Law and Order would be very good for this, right? So that kind of fits here. And then have they introduced back Zatanna and Xandar, the twins, which are Zartan's.
Yeah.
Right. So makes me think that is it someone along those arcs being Dreadnought War? And then the last one would be, has Monkey Wrench been reintroduced?
He has not.
Right. Okay. So then it's Monkey Wrench. That's my guess. If I had to stand on the hill, I'd be like, it's Monkey Wrench.
If Roadblock really hasn't been introduced yet, that's my guess. Is Roadblock?
Yeah, I thought
everybody needs a body massage.
100% right.
Yeah, but the Dreadnought side, it wasn't really him. Now it could. I mean, gosh, now that I think about it, it could be Slaughter and the Marauders.
Body massage.
Slaughter would be interesting, I guess. That would be a nice homage back. Wrestling is hot right now.
Yeah,
that would be a good play by them.
Nah, but Sergeant Slaughter is not a name. Like if it was The Rock, then yeah. Right. But Sergeant Slaughter, nobody gives a shit about Sergeant Slaughter anymore. Robert Remus is making his moves around.
But they would in this because it's Dreadnought War, right? So it's obviously Dreadnoughts are involved. I
think when Brendan, if it was Sergeant Slaughter in most capacities, I 100% agree because he's just not that character really isn't relevant. But for the G.I. Joe, if there's one thing that could bring him back into the forefront, it would be that because that was kind of the thing that made him kind of cool in the begin with. Because even in the 80s, like no one really thought that character was cool until you kind of started seeing how he could be adapted into different mediums. And it was kind of like, you know, the Hulk Hogan aspect. You know, it was corny, but it worked.
And for real though, I just put a whole bunch of names in there.
No,
and the only one that I'm really
the
only one that I'm really like hoping for actually is Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
Has he not been introduced?
I think Snake Eyes was. I think Snake Eyes.
I'm cross-referencing this stuff as we're talking right now.
No,
and these are the names that are not on the.
I get what you're doing. I'm just saying it's still kind of crazy.
For a year,
I'll check it again one more time.
Hasn't been introduced.
Yeah, that's insane.
I'm standing on the ground of Monkey Wrench.
I love it. Steve's he's digging in.
I'm sticking with Roadblock, but I'm just amazed. I'm amazed.
I think it's
been introduced.
No. The cover is the Easter egg.
Tell us.
They
teased
Easter egg. Reveal it.
Jeep in the background. Desert. Oh, it's Dusty.
It's Road Pig. It
is Dusty.
All right, I want to throw up the variant on this one though.
Now we're just more puzzled.
This is another retailer exclusive. It's from 616 Comics. It's a Bjorn Behrens version. They've got two versions of this. This is the Virgin variant. They also have a Virgin variant that's in like a magenta color scheme. Yeah, but dude, look at this. So that is obviously Destro right there, but look at the way that they did the fire. Look at the way they did the reflections in his silver skin. Silver is not a color. This one is not foil. It's not listed as foil, but if they didn't do that as foil, that is brilliant coloring to make it look as close to an actual silver reflection as you could possibly get. I love this cover.
This is done very well. And you get the feeling of what it is too. It gives us a lot of that blank space that we all like. I like the fact that they gave a little bit of nods to him too. You can see the cape, like his jacket, neck piece is up, and then you can tell he's got a chain around his neck. He's got, again, it's very, very Destro. And there's that really like bright green underneath, which we all know that like Destro kind of almost like dresses flamboyantly in a way, right? And they've used that in the past as like part of his garb, right? Where he's had leopard print and stuff like that and everything in his different outfits. So this is a nice nod. And it, as you mentioned, look, there's artists that are really good with lighting, and there's a lot of artists that are no good with lighting. And this is one of those moments where this is an artist, Bjorn has really knocked it out the park with the lighting. It's done very, very well.
Looks great.
It's also an expression that very much says, "My dear Cobra Commander."
Yeah, like it does in a way, like it kind of evokes all the senses, like it, and it really maybe that's what kind of what Eric was mentioning. It taps back into the nostalgic element, whether it be warmth or whether it just be something that deeply resonates within you, or even just kind of like a an ASMR type of thing. As funny as it sounds, like that's kind of what it is. And you look it, you hear it, you feel it. You get a lot more than just seeing it. And as Steve said, even just the initial visuals look great from an artistic aspect, but it kind of taps into something even deeper.
Yeah, it does for sure. Well, those are the new comics for the week. Make sure you stop by your local LCS, pick up the new titles each week, support those shops, get out there, support these comic book stores. They're the ones that are bringing a lot of these storylines to life that become all kinds of stuff. Now, when you're the top 1% of the show, you get to do whatever you want. Paul's over there writing me a novel right now about, can I talk about this? Can I talk about this? Paul, go ahead.
How about it, Paul?
What? Are you serious? You guys are going to let me finally pitch everything that I've been wanting to? I mean, oh my God, guys, you guys really are special. I really love the fact that I'm part of this amazing group, because how else, quit interrupting, how else am I going to let people know, for the love of God, if I can't get through this, if people don't find out about,
all right, I'm sorry. I'll cut out.
Please, thank you. Just cut your microphone, please. So, folks, please, join me at paulvato.com for all things Paul Vato.
Absolutely.
I can still hear you, man. I don't think you're off microphone. I hear it absolutely echoing in the background. I don't know what's going on. But as long as you folks find out about Vato Coin, vatocoin.com, or the Kama Sutra, a book that I put my heart in.
Absolutely.
What? Wait, are you guys still there? Come on, guys. You said you were going to give me some time. This is ridiculous. But I can't even promote my stuff. It's the only reason I come and do the show. That's why I was here early.
Why do you
Absolutely.
Paul? Yeah. No. Why is Paul still on?